No, you're fine. I can see you in here, Joanne. Okay. All right. So we'll call the meeting of the Soundview Commission at 7:40.
7:40.
Yeah,
Yep,
7:40.
7:40.
We did not have a meeting in March because of the COVID-19 sequester. So we approval of the minutes of the February 24th meeting. I have a motion to. We need approval of the minutes of February 24th.
I make a motion, Harry.
Do I have a
Okay.
second?
I second Jackie.
Jackie, you're not a voting member because we don't need alternates today because we have a full. I need a voting member.
Okay, that's
I'll
fine.
second.
Joanne seconds. Any discussion on the minutes of February 24th? All right, no discussion. Please say aye individually, please. Michaela,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Joanne,
Aye.
Harry.
Aye.
Okay, I think that's and Dave Kelsey's not online, is he?
I guess not.
Dave Kelsey's not here, so Jackie, I guess you will be a voting member for Dave Kelsey.
Okay.
Okay, so the meeting minutes pass. First order of business is the community connectivity grant. On April 21st, we had a meeting, another one of the WebEx meetings, which was interesting. It worked out pretty well, actually. The engineer, BCS, came through with a couple of initial design drawings. They did request to go to 5 specific houses to go on site. They had done a drone survey of the property, but they needed to get through to 5 houses specifically to do some actual measurements. They did. Between Mary Jo and myself, we got a hold of 3 of the property owners, and 2 we sent them letters. They did go onto the sites. They did their measurements. They came up with some thoughts on the design of the area. They still have not gotten in touch or gotten any kind of approval or meeting with the Connecticut DOT regarding the Route 156, but they're hoping to do that. So the plan right at the moment is they're devising up the sidewalk program, putting together what we think will work for Route 156. And they'll present that to the DOT and hope the DOT will come back with okay or make some slight modifications. There are going to be some roadway disruptions with Route 156 over the course of the next couple of years regarding repaving and some other alignments. So we're not quite sure what they're going to do. Regardless, we can still move forward with a variety of things, particularly the Harford Avenue portion of it, and hopefully a good portion of Shore Road of 156. There was one discussion that came up on Harford Avenue, and that is the sidewalks are roughly 5 feet wide. And there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room on Harford Avenue for the 5 foot sidewalk. What that means is there'll be a 5 foot sidewalk and a 1 foot buffer. So the sidewalk will be recessed from the street by 1 foot. So the total amount from the street to the end of the sidewalk inside would be 6 feet. So the question arose whether the curb and the buffer will be concrete and the sidewalk concrete. So one monolithic pour. In other words, they would pour the curb, the buffer, and the sidewalk in one pour, or whether the sidewalk itself would be a concrete sidewalk and we would use a grass 1 foot buffer next to the street and retain the asphalt curbs. So there's two schools of thought on that. One, the monolithic pour obviously would look neater and would be more uniform. It might be a little bit more costly, but that's all built into the project cost. The other school of thought is the grass would retain a little bit more of the residential characteristic of the upper part of Harford Avenue. So we're going to look at some designs of both of those, some renderings of both of those on the next meeting, which is May 4th at 10 a.m. It'll also be a WebEx meeting too. And at that time, they'll have some renderings of what the two would look like. We'll probably at that point in time make a decision on whether it be a monolithic pour or a grass and sidewalk pour. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, we're certainly welcome to hear them. Did everybody understand what I'm saying with that?
Yes.
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 Anybody have any thoughts on whether they like the full concrete or whether they like the grass?
I have
I like the grass. You're saying that you'd have almost like a granite concrete curb, so it's a little harder to drive on.
Yeah, much harder to drive on.
And then you'd have a strip of grass.
Right.
And then a concrete sidewalk.
Right.
Well, when you were talking all concrete, what were you talking
Well,
about?
they call it a monolithic pour, Frank. So what they would do is they would pour the curb, the buffer, and the sidewalk all in one pour, all in one concrete pour, as opposed to just pouring the sidewalk and then leaving a 1 foot grass buffer and the asphalt. Personally, I kind of like the idea of the grass myself because I think it fits more into the residential characteristic. But everybody's got different thoughts on it.
But the only thing I worry about is maintaining that grass strip because the homeowner isn't, is he?
Well, they maintain
Yeah.
the front yards. They maintain their front yards now, so I'm not sure. But you bring up a good point. That's the point everybody brings up.
Yeah.
It's Michaela. I actually hate the asphalt curbs because I feel like they crumble when somebody hits them. They don't last very long with the snow plows, and they
Not
tend to look
asphalt.
pretty bad after a few years.
They're concrete, right?
No, the asphalt with the grass, those asphalt curbs end up getting crushed by the snow plows.
I thought they were
Concrete would be better.
Michaela. Frank, can you correct that?
What's that?
I thought the curb was not going to be bituminous. It was going to be concrete.
Well, the two options are right at the moment: a concrete curb with a concrete 1 foot buffer and then a concrete sidewalk, or an asphalt curb with a grass buffer and the concrete sidewalk.
Michaela's 100% right. Those won't last a year.
I assume there's a price difference too, right?
Oh, yeah, there is price difference. We're not quite sure what that is right now, Harry. We'll have a better handle on that on May 4th, rather.
Well, before we really have any discussion, let's see what it costs.
Well,
Even though I prefer concrete.
it's
We're not short of
too.
money, though.
It's not a money issue right now, Harry. It's strictly an aesthetic issue and what our preferences are. If we have any strong preferences one way or the other. So it's not.
All right,
It's not
well, my
really a money
preference
issue.
is concrete.
Mine is too.
And we know Michaelis is concrete. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Concrete.
No, but I got something else I want to ask you.
Great choice.
Okay, Harry, what's your question on that?
All right, with the sidewalks installed, what additional signage will be alongside of them?
Regarding,
Well, pedestrians, arrows, yield to pedestrians. I don't know what kind of signage goes along when they put sidewalks around here.
when they put the sidewalks in, because we'll be using, well, if we use the concrete buffer zone, they'll be putting in a conduit so signs can be put in, some similar to what they did on the southern part of Harford Avenue. They'll obviously put some new street signs in regarding share the road, because part of that will be share the road with the bicycle path. And
So there will be signage of some sort.
Oh yeah, definitely. They'll put signage in, and if they do with the concrete, they'll probably put mailbox posts in also.
All right. How about street lighting over the sidewalks? Will there be any of that, or is that already incorporated?
That's already on the street. The street lights are already on the opposite side. They what do you flush over onto the sidewalks. Street
All
lighting
right.
wasn't street lighting wasn't part of this program.
All right.
So our next meeting of the connectivity grant will be on May 4th at 10 a.m. So if you go onto the town website, look for the connectivity grant, there'll be a link just like there was for this. And we should be able to you should be able to log on just like you're logging on now. Over the course of the meeting, the meeting host will also put up some graphics so you'll be able to see it on your computer. So you can
You'll
see
send
exactly what
out
I'm
an
talking
email and let us know.
It'll be on it. Mary Jo sends out an email, and it's going to be it is an open meeting, so the town will have it on their website.
All right.
I believe you could also go on to the town website under quick links, Solvview projects, and the meeting agendas for the connectivity grant should be there.
All right.
Any other questions regarding connectivity grant or the sidewalks? Okay, I did mention. I think I mentioned the last meeting that that Connecticut Water is using part of the town lots across the street from the church for their laydown yards, and as part of that, Tim and I negotiated them to build a road for us for a bus terminal. So remember we talked about a bus area up on the parking lot area, so buses could pull in, and
Yep.
and it looks like that's going to be a go. We've got Connecticut Water. Once they pull all their equipment off, we'll actually construct a road. We're talking to the transit district right now about putting up a shelter for the buses right there. So that'll keep people. Give people the opportunity to take the transit district on. There'll be a bus location. They could get on and get off the bus safely off the road. So that was a nice package. Hopefully that'll all come through. And like I said, Tim and I talked to the construction company, and they have agreed to it. And I think there shouldn't be any more hiccups on that one. So that's a positive thing. Next item is Connecticut Water. And they did start their operations and putting in new water lines on the northern part of Swan and Portland Avenue, and doing some hookups on Harford Avenue. And they stopped because of the COVID-19 distancing. They don't believe that it's safe for their workers to be working in close contact with each other. So all of their non-essential construction activities are at a halt. The only thing they are doing are anything that's critical to maintain the water supply. I don't have an answer on when that's going to reactivate, but regardless, if it reactivates sometime during the summer months, we probably will ask them to hold off until fall, because we don't want them digging up the roads during the summer months because of traffic and congestion. So we'll have to get a better handle on that as it goes along. Of course, nobody quite knows what the coronavirus mandates are going to be in the next couple of weeks or couple of months. So we'll just kind of take that as it comes. That's all we can do. Any questions on Connecticut Water? Sewers, I have no other updates on sewers or WPCA unless anybody else has anything they want to weigh in regarding that. Okay. Beach use with the coronavirus, COVID-19 mandates, they're coming down from the governor's office. and the social distancing and crowd, not more than 5 people, there's been a lot of question on what's going to happen with the public beach in Southview. Right now, there are no mandates that we're aware of other than crowds or gatherings of 5 or more and a 6-foot social distancing. Saturday, I think, was a good indication of what could happen because there were quite a few people in the area walking up and down the street in groups and crowds, and social distances did not seem to be top on their mind, and there were certainly groups larger than 5. So I talked to Tim. Pardon me?
And no masks.
And no masks. And no masks. Talked to Tim today to try to see what their plan was. He's gotten in touch with Miami Beach to find out, what their thoughts are. Old Colony Beach has simply said that their beach is open to their association members, and they're encouraging the 6-foot distancings. As Frank, you probably have some more information on that. Did you get from Old Colony Beach Association?
White Sands is open.
Miami?
Yeah. Did you get a memo from Old Colony, Frank?
I spoke to Old Colony.
I haven't.
I spoke to Old Colony. I'm going to start cleaning the beaches next week.
Right. Okay.
Same thing with White Sands and Point of Woods and the town stuff.
So it's entire. Go ahead. Go ahead, Frank.
Miami fence filed an appeal, I guess. I don't know how that's going to work and when the decision is going to be made to take it down and then maybe to put it back up. I don't know.
The Miami fence decision has been appealed, and the word I got from one of the plaintiffs was that the fence will remain until the appeal is heard, and because all the courts are closed, chances are the appeal won't be heard until the fall at the earliest. Right now, it sounds to me that the Miami fence situation will remain as is. So the town of Old Lyme is going to have some decisions to make of what they're going to do with the public beach. If they allow it.
Have you read the memorandums on the court? You can go right online and read, why they're appealing it and the defendant saying, there's no reason for an appeal here, and we're getting hurt by not opening the beach.
Yeah, I did talk to one of the people that is party to the lawsuit, and because I asked, I said I want to make sure I give accurate information out here. I don't want to do a rumor, and he told me that at this point, everything remains status quo. And won't change until the appeal is heard or rejected one way or the other. And because the courts are closed, they really don't have a clue when that's going to happen. So the challenge that Old Lyme is faced with right now is what do we do with the public beach if we remain it open and it's crowded and everything? How do we monitor it and enforce anything? So the businesses are closed other than takeout. So Frank, I don't know. The question is the pavilion open for takeout?
Yes.
Okay. Kokomo's is open for takeout, and I believe that the owners of the Sugar Shack, I think it's going to be Beach Bums. I think they're going to be open for takeout. I did get an email from Heidi and Dino, and they are not going to open until this whole thing is settled one way or the other, the 5-foot distancing and so on and so forth. So they are not going to open either the arcade or the crepe shop. So there is a school of thought that we can essentially close the public beach. Residents of Southview can use Miami Beach, and we could leave the Harford Avenue street parking, the lower street parking, available for 30-minute parking to accommodate the takeouts. And and that the rest of the street parking in the town lot would be closed, because if the beach is closed, you don't want to encourage people to show up down there.
Well, the
Yeah,
beach is
it's
not
crowded
supposed to
beach.
be closed. That's a problem. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't social distance, but as you know, I own a big part of the beach. And to close the town lot, I don't think is fair to the businesses. We're going through enough as it is.
Well, I guess that's the question. If you're going to be open, at what level? And we'll have to talk with you and Brian. I mean, it's not my decision. It's the town's decision. I'm just trying to gather some information for them to figure out, to help them, guide them as to what would be appropriate or not appropriate. I think the worst thing that could happen is all the lots are open, the beach is unmonitored, and we get slammed down there the first 80-degree day. And then how do you monitor it? That's the problem. We barely have enough cops.
Regardless if the beaches are open or closed, if you close that parking lot, you're going to encourage more illegal parking, and that'll be a bigger problem.
Yes, it will.
I don't disagree with you, Harry. I don't have an answer. I'm asking for thoughts so I can pass them along.
We mark squares out on the town beach. I don't know. This is a sci-fi.
Well, then it becomes more important that we have law enforcement down there at the beach this summer, especially if things remain status quo.
You got to get the Rangers to do it,
and they need to do their jobs.
Yeah.
This is Joanne.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that we've already had some issues down here anyway, and there were 3 cops down here addressing the issues, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And so it's already started.
Can you,
It's
Joanne,
going to be a tough one.
tell me what happened?
Well, someone's got some feedback going on here. Yeah, what happened was there were quite a few people that came down and they're on the beach. I think some of them were on motorcycles. I guess they were happy to be out and about. Wonderful day.
A lot of pent-up demand.
I'm sorry?
A lot of pent-up demand to get out.
Yeah. And I guess they were kind of rowdy. I don't know.
Okay.
The
So the
cops do
police-
their job.
I think they were involved with trying to get food from Kokomo's, and it overwhelmed them.
Okay.
And so Kokomo's, I think, might have been involved,
Okay.
reached out. But that's about all I know.
Okay.
That's the only
I was
watch
just,
window.
if it was an incident or if it was just crowds and social distancing issue.
Crowds and social distancing.
Okay.
Well, if you decide to keep the public out, you might as well cancel every event that you have scheduled, including this food truck festival. So
We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a second, Harry. We have to kind of peel these things one piece at a time. And the first
listen, we're not
question.
going to know what to do until the time comes, because you know what? Nobody's ever had to deal with something like this. Okay?
Yeah, you're right. Frank put
we could say one thing and then we have to change mid-course. So you got to let it play out. Get together with the cops and ask them what they decide, what they want to do.
Lost the,
There's no question that's going to be what ends up happening. The question number one is, Frank, because we want to be very sensitive to both the pavilion and Kokomo's down there, and Beach Bums and Vaquitos if they open. We need to be very sensitive to that, to those businesses. So, just shutting down all parking is going to be a problem. So, my thought was at least if we maintain the 30-minute parking, it gives people the opportunity to go down for for whatever.
There it is. Oh, wait.
Yeah, somebody is talking.
If you close the problem, you're just going to create another problem. You got to
Somebody's
leave the
talking.
parking as is.
It's Paula's not muted.
Yeah, I'm muting her now. Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
For the residents of Sound View who purchased a Miami beach passes the last couple of years, we got to think about that too, as far as access to the beach goes. And also, if the town lot is closed, where would the Sound View residents necessarily park also, you know? Thank
Well,
you.
some of you residents don't necessarily park in the town lot. They, you know, obviously they park in their own yards.
Oh, my wife comes on down early in the morning.
Frank,
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry to cut off Brian. Brian, were you done?
I'm all set.
Anyways, what's this 30-minute parking? Is that's not going to be carried on onto the town lot if the town lot stays open, right?
no, if the town lot remains open, that would be, you know, just normal. It would be, yeah, we just operate normal. If for whatever reason they close the town lot to maintain no crowds at the beach, then my recommendation is we make the street 30-minute parking so people could at least come down there and get food if they desire. At least that way, you know, we're not shutting access off to the takeouts and the restaurants. So my thought was,
you're not going to stop people from coming to the beach whether you close the parking lot or not. I mean, you got to get that through your head. I mean, that's the way it's always been.
Harry, it's a matter of not us close. It's not us. It's what's the town going to do. We're merely making recommendations. We're part of the conversation. First of all,
And the state.
Yeah, but see, Frank, you're the important part of the conversation with Tim with this. So, I mean, come on. We've been around a long time. You close the parking lot, you're going to have a bigger problem.
we'll have to see what public safety says about that. I don't have an answer for that. I don't disagree with you, but by the same token,
then I think that should be our recommendation to the town.
I agree. Very good, Harry.
Well, I think that we have to see what the state does too. And if there's continued bad behavior, we run the risk of them closing the whole thing down.
Right.
without any choice in the matter.
Like
Which is what we wanted to
this is an evolving situation. Okay? We're not going to know until a day before.
I guess we're gonna. I'll be hearing from Tim later on in the week and see what they have, what kind of thought process the Miami Beach people and the town public safety people have in terms of the best way to manage this. And I think Tim is going to be in touch with the state to get their thought process on it.
Right.
I think the biggest issue that everybody's concerned with is an 80-degree day and just everything packed to the hilt and just no way to monitor it or keep a track of what's going on. And Frank, even your beach, how can you keep track of what's going on there?
It's not easy.
I know. Like I said,
try. Definitely going to try. I mean,
we're living in a sci-fi. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
All right. If anybody has any thoughts, just shoot them on over to me. Give me a call tomorrow, and we can talk further. I think that Tim's going to try to set up some sort of conversation on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and I just need to at least get a plan B ready to go just in case.
We might want to check with Niantic too. I mean, they have their own town beach over there.
He is
what they're doing,
He is going to check with neighboring towns to try to get it handled. Obviously, we want to be in concert with everybody. We don't want to do one thing and Niantic does something else and Guilford does something else and Old Sabre, because that'd be a mess. So we kind of get an idea what everybody else is doing and and be coordinated effort, that might be the best approach. So I know that he was looking into all of those things. He did tell me that Midsummer Festival is canceled. They have canceled that. The Memorial Day Parade has been canceled.
It has? I haven't heard
yeah.
that, really.
Yeah. Heard that this afternoon.
Summer Festival?
Pardon me?
Midsummer canceled
Midsummer
too?
Festival is canceled, yes. The car show, he's not sure whether the Lions are still doing the car show or not, because that's such an integral part of Midsummer Festival. So I'm not quite sure. He's not quite sure what's going to happen there. Anyhow, all of those are occurring. He gave me Carla Rosario's phone number. They are going to open up the old Sugar Shack. And I'm going to give them a call tomorrow and find out what their plans are regarding takeout and so on and so forth. So hopefully get some input
Frank
from them.
Stella, have you heard from Jerry and Dee? Do you know if they plan to open at all?
They're still in Florida. I talked to Angela. Angela, you there?
Yes.
Have you
Yeah.
talked to them since the other day?
Yeah, I spoke to them today. They're still up in the air. I mean, how do you run a merry-go-round and he's all the rules and regulations pretty. I mean, I suppose they could do ice cream through the window, but you can't eat ice cream with a mask on. So they're in the same place you guys. They're in the same place you are. They don't know whether to open or whether they're just gonna. You're gonna have to play it by ear and wait for the governor to make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's another nuance to this that was brought up in the town in the Board of Selectmen meeting the other day, and that the governor says that all short-term rentals need to be held for essential workers, which really puts a crimp into anybody that rents their cottage for the summertime.
Well, what I was talking to somebody up in his office today, and what he's really doing is, if you bring in the idea, he's just gonna say, show me how you're gonna do it, and you're gonna keep this distance, and how you're gonna, regulate it, and then he'll make a decision. That's what he's doing. So, like Harry said, we've never been here before.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little scary here. Hopefully, Tim will get some guidance from the state, and we'll be able to make some decisions. So, just so I understand, Frank, that you're going to open for takeout, but people would be allowed on the beach in front of your place. Okay, and you're gonna monitor the five group. Okay. Okay, I'll pass that along to him, and that may have some bearing on what he has to say.
Michaela, again, one
Yes.
final comment. I know that a lot of the Jersey Shore towns, what they've done is hand out beach passes to residents, taxpayers, and businesses who actually live in the beach communities, and you're not allowed on the beach without one. So that may be something, if they want to curtail the amount of people that can come on, maybe they want to do that.
I mentioned that to Tim, and he had some concerns, and I rightly so, that if it's a public beach and you limit who can come on, then we could end up in the same boat that Greenwich was in a few years ago with their lawsuit.
I think it's a personal circumstance, though, with public safety. They're keeping people up.
I don't think the town wants to incur such a huge expense.
Once again, I think that we're going to figure out what other towns are doing and try to follow suit and see what makes sense for Old Lyme. I mean, we're so unique in that we have the businesses down there, and we're public, and there's just so many other nuances to the Soundview area that other towns don't have to deal with. So we've got to be very sensitive to the businesses. We can't just shut everything down.
Right.
They're already having a tough enough time. Who needs more aggravation? So
not that the weather has dictated any
yeah,
big crowds, that's for sure.
yeah. The weather, But who knows, Frank? You know, any day, 80 degrees can pop up and we could be slammed.
The water's still 49 degrees. That wind comes out of the south or the west. Oh my God.
Yes.
I'll pass along everybody's thoughts, and if anybody thinks of anything, just shoot me a note or give me a call tomorrow. We're happy to add them into it.
Frank, this is Jackie. What are the people going to do when the crowds, the teenagers, they come all in the same time, on the same day when it's 80, 90 degrees, and they want to force their way on the beach? Who's going to tell them no?
Well, that's just the point, Jackie. That's just the point. If they show up, how do you enforce the
That's right.
grouping? How do you enforce it?
I mean, the girls are fighting over a blanket space, but when the whole, that's packed. People come down and they expect to go and just be on the beach in the water. A mob.
I recognize that. I think we all recognize that. The question is, who and how is it going to be monitored? I don't know. We're going to hear from the first select. We're going to hear from the new resident trooper, and he's got to weigh in on this. Him and Dave Roberge, they got to weigh in. It's public safety issues, and it's state mandates. So some of this stuff we may not have a choice in. Something major, the governor may say, sure, open your beach, but make sure you maintain a 5-foot distance, 6-foot distance.
Yeah.
I don't know how in the world we're going to maintain that.
10 people.
How about Ledge Light?
They're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
With the nursing homes and all of that.
Yeah.
Are
I
they?
don't think they have enough staff. Took us at Sunset Ribs, it took us 6 weeks to get an appointment for an inspection.
Wow.
All right, we move on.
Well, keep that in mind. Like I said, if anybody's got any other thoughts or comes up with any brainstorms, give me a call. Next up on the list is events. Food Truck Festival, just to bring you up to date. I met with the selectmen after our last meeting. We talked at length about the Food Truck Festival, and I brought Christopher and Mary Jo Nosel up to speak because Tim and I had been talking about it. We had some concerns on the agreement that Barbara Neff sent out. I revised the agreement to accommodate their concerns. One of them was a force majeure clause, which the other one was tightening up on the actual compensation package, which I tightened up on. I talked with Barbara. She agreed to everything. And then last week we talked to figure out what in the world we're going to do regarding the, potential COVID-19 mandates. And what we agreed on, we were just going to wait another couple of weeks and see what happens, and things ease up. We can pull the trigger and make it happen. If things don't ease up, Barbara suggested possibly we might be able to move this to the fall. She wasn't sure because a lot of stuff is being canceled and some of these food truck operators are just dying to get in anywhere. So we may be able to move this to the fall if that makes sense. I mentioned it to Tim. I sent him an email. He thought that, that was a reasonable approach. We just kind of wait and see. Barbara said she's got plenty of food trucks ready to go. So that's where we are. The first year we're finally going to do something, and this has to happen.
All right.
Way to go, Frank.
But who's leaving us? Somebody leaving? Somebody say something?
I said, way to go.
Oh, okay. So we'll just kind of play it by ear that way. We'll see what happens. Frank you had a couple of good thoughts about the fall.
Yeah, I mean, the Irish have got the St. Patty's Day parade. This is predominantly Italian down here. Columbus Day, the whole weekend of some sort. Start something. We could have a lot of fun with that. Put the food truck festival on, maybe that Sunday And I don't know, maybe get a vendor to do rides or whatever.
That may be a that may be a great thing to do. You know,
Could have a meatball competition. You know,
Sounds great to me. I'd like to do it right now.
that. It would, you know,
That'd be a little
it would
tough.
be-
It'll be a little tough.
yeah.
All right, so we'll let it play out and see what happens next
Yeah,
couple of weeks. If anything happens and the state says everything opens up, June 1, then I'll call Barbara up and Frank and I have been communicating back and forth on this, and we'll just keep everybody in the loop the best we can.
Okay.
Which brings up the next, do we bother scheduling concerts or just bag it for the summer? Or wait and see what happens and maybe do something in August. I don't know.
I think we should, Miss Kayla, I think we should wait.
I'll tell you, I think that we should cancel the concerts because even if this thing ends, people are not going to be anxious to gather in large crowds.
That
Yeah,
was
but it's
my
out-
thought, actually.
I really think that life will never go back to the way it was. It's going to be
Harry, don't
different.
say that.
And
Yeah,
not, not
think
only
we have to
that,
wait.
this is Joanne, but not only that, the concerts, if there was quote unquote rain, we have to cancel, period, because there's no way a crowd will go into the community center.
Definitely.
So, I'm thinking, I was vacillating between just maybe schedule with a caveat, only if we open the world, and other ways, otherwise we just,
Well, we don't have to make that decision today. We could wait till next month and look at it, see what it's like. We give it another 30 days.
okay.
That
Good
makes
idea.
sense.
All right.
Facilities, I talked to Tim today briefly about the porta potties. I'm going to write up a quick thing. I'm going to send it out to 3 vendors just to see what we've got going. Whether we open, whether we close, we still should have in place a porta potty vendor. We all agree that Signori's, been a valued partner, but because it's over $5,000, at least be a good idea to get three bids. The town does not have to take the lowest bid. They could go with, whoever they think is going to be the best qualified to do the job. We'll get the 3 bids and pass it along to the selectmen and see what they say. At least it keeps us clean as far as, providing options to the town. Does anybody have any questions? I thought we would go out to Signori, to Fingalston and Olson's, unless somebody's got somebody else they want to try.
I don't know anyone but Pete.
I'm basically going to leave that to Tim to make that decision. He might say, just stick with who we've got for this year and wait until next year. I'll defer that to him. Whoever he says to go with, we'll just manage it like we have been.
I told you.
I have no more information regarding the beach, about the police or anything other than our new resident trooper, Matt Weber, who's a town resident. That's pretty much it. That's all I have. Budget, David's not on the line, so we really can't go into the budget thing. He did say there are some carryovers that we need to deal with. I believe one of the carryovers is trash cans. Once again, that may be something we could defer until later on because of the fact that we can't have a meeting. So I'll talk to Dave and the Board of Finance and figure out what the best way to handle that is. That's pretty much all I have. Are there any other comments from the board? Any new business from the board?
Yeah, I have new business. I sent you all, it's Michaela, I sent you all a photograph of the Bestway station. And they've added, on their gas pumps, they've added these Sting LEDs that are on all night. Yeah, so I don't know if we have a zoning officer at this point, but that's completely in violation of everything they were supposed to be doing over there. So,
Well, it's a violation because it's an unauthorized accessory lighting use.
exactly.
So,
Accessory lighting use.
unauthorized.
Yeah, Michaela, do you happen to know what the chapter and verse is in the zoning regs on that?
I can easily find it.
If you can get me the chapter and verse on that, I'll write a letter to our zoning enforcement officer and to the
Okay,
zoning
great. Do we have a
commission.
new zoning enforcement officer?
We have somebody, I believe, we're sharing with
With another town.
another town,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it's
All right, yes, I will get that to you. Thank you.
I think they're coming from the what's that group of towns? Excuse me, it escapes me right now.
Yeah,
What's that, Harry?
I didn't say anything.
the River Valley.
It's the River Valley or the River Cog or one of those things. There's there's a group of towns. I think we're sharing a zoning enforcement officer there.
Okay, well, I will get you that.
Yeah, if you get me chapter and verse, and the picture I think is great. I'll submit it.
Great.
No problem. Any other business? We will have public comment. Definitely will have public comment. Are there any public comments?
Frank, what
Why,
I'm
why
wondering
would you
is
do that,
Jackie.
Frank? Oh, we didn't have any at the last other meeting, you know, where. Hey, Michaela,
Yes.
Karen and I will be down this weekend at 310 up the street from you. Would you stop up to see us, please?
I can't see anybody. I'm social distancing.
Oh, you could stand out in the road.
What do you need?
Wanted to talk to you. We want to talk to you also about the Beach Pass Miami Beach thing for Soundview residents and such.
Okay, why don't you drop me an email and we'll figure it out.
Okay, stand by 1 second. I'll get your email from Frank or something later on.
Okay, it's on the committee list, so I'm on there.
Okay.
Good night,
you,
everyone.
folks.
I'm signing off.
Okay, Frank. We'll see you. Frank, we didn't adjourn the meeting yet, Frank. Any other?
Am I a voting
Any other?
member?
Yes.
Any other?
Okay. I make a
Porta
motion
potty.
to adjourn.
Any other public comments?
Paula,
Yes, Paula.
any hand washing, part of the porta potties? Are you,
That's gonna be part of the bid. It's gonna be, I don't think we probably will not have a separate hand wash station, but there needs to be some sort of sanitizer in the porta potties or attached to the porta potties.
okay. Did talk today, and they're talking about coming, mid to late May and possibly not until July 1st, doing some, opening up for ice cream.
Yeah, it'd be great if Dee or Jerry can get a hold of me sometime in the next day or two, just so I can relay the information firsthand to Tim.
Okay.
All right. Any other public comment? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Thank you
Aye.
very much, everybody, and stay healthy, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Frank.
You too. Everybody stay healthy.
Yes.
All right, you too. Bye.
Night.
I know.
Bye.
I didn't know we had to watch fucking Breaking Bad. They talk shit, but you gotta, if you're not there protecting yourself.
I've got a lot of those stuff. That wasn't that bad.
No.
He's a good chairman.
Yeah, that guy is. Is that Frank No, Frank Pappalardo. I've never seen a guy work as hard as this guy. He lives in South Winter on top of that. And he comes down Yeah, we've had our battles, but I really respect the guy because he works so freaking hard for nothing. I didn't respect him for the longest time. And how hard he worked. And
I'm logging off now, everybody. I'll see y'all later. End meeting.